and I burnt out. I just couldn't take care of the children and be in this job that required me to be on for sometimes 60, 70 hours a week, just working to stay above so that the next generation of people coming up behind you are snapping at your heels and ready to take your spot the minute you sort of showed a little bit of weakness or needed more time off, and kept finding myself feeling guilt and anxiety of trying to be this person and this person and that person.
The Connect Coaching Unplugged.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Connect Unplugged, where Conor and I go behind the scenes of training schools from all around the world to find out what is at the core of their drive, what is at the core of their motivation for creating what they're creating, and the ripple effects that they're using to transform the planet. We've got Chrissie, Stobbs and Alexandra Baker today from Collective Coaching Academy, two super mums who met at trainers training in 2020 at the height of COVID. Their values were so aligned that they decided to embark on delivering trainings and coaching together. Welcome, guys. They're building an umbrella of coaches and mentors across the globe. It's so good to have you all here, and we're looking forward to diving into your stories today. So hello, ladies.
Thanks for having us, guys.
So much.
It's great to be here. So you guys have actually just finished a practitioner training, and you weren't ready to stop the party, so you decided to jump on board with us today as well. Thank you very much for doing that. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that. You guys have been very busy.
I'm gonna let you go, Chrissy. I talk over Chrissy a lot of the time, so today I'm gonna let Chrissy speak first.
So yeah,
That's great.
it lights us up, and we get this opportunity to share our knowledge and walk these new people through this experience of opening up their mindset and arming them with a massive toolbox of how to shift and change things that are going on for them. How we've got people who come in for their business, they're either entrepreneurs or team leaders, working within corporate, and how they can elevate their communication. And then we've got other people who come in and they're like, I really feel like I want some more coaching skills to move into this space. And just, it's incredible what we deliver. We've done things a little bit differently. So we focus on NLP in 4 days, and there is incredible amount of content, those little chunks of information that can create the biggest shifts. And I love that you use the ripple effect, because, that's part of our core, is just creating the biggest ripple effect. I can teach these people and then they can go and teach somebody else. And that's an incredible feeling. That's what lights us up. That's why we do what we do.
Nice. Yeah, it is nice. We one of the nicest things is when you see a graduate or you see somebody that you have taught at some point in time, and they're doing amazing things on social media, and you're seeing, wow, look at that. I complimented somebody yesterday, and they said, it was you that got me started with this. And I said, no, it was actually you that got me started with this. It was just, I was just there to guide the process. So tell us a little bit more about the 4-day thing. That's got me intrigued. And, I think that's part of the picture, 4 days and then possibly another 4 days. Is that right? Is that how it's done?
Yeah, correct. So Chris is right. I mean, that was always the intention, was to keep it short and sharp so that people like us who kind of need that family-friendly time and that really deeply immersive training, that wanted to be with people where they knew at the end of the day they were going to get helped to go from the training onto the next and then onto the next thing. We really want people who are not putting their training on the shelf. And most of the time what happens is they finish up and they feel really lit up, and then they'll ask that question, Kallum, like, who would want to work with me? And that's the key, is that we're building this belief in them that they're working with people just like them. We like to think about it as almost like a timeline, and I'm sitting on this timeline and my experience is here, and maybe my life is that long, and I'm sitting here and I'm working with everybody who is living my life backwards. So if I had a struggle or a challenge or an obstacle, that happened 2 years ago and I overcame it, that's what I'm working with people. I'm using the tools that I learned in the NLP training to help people to overcome those obstacles and those challenges, and to just feel as if they have flexibility, feel as if they have opportunity, feel as if they're moving towards something or an opportunity or some level of growth. So with the 4 days, it's deeply immersive. They're going to really take it on board. And then at the end of it, we take those people who are really ready to learn more on to the second certification, which is then the timeline therapy, the hypnotherapy, and the coaching. And this split of the two is something that I don't know that any other academy does it. The hours that we train in between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. is family friendly. Chrissy and I, we have families. We're really passionate about our families. We're really passionate about finding your joy and doing the things that spark your joy, and about looking at what happens next, what's next. And I remember this from when we trained with you guys. When we got our trainers training, I remember there was a girl who, I think her name is Vivian, or she stood there and she kept saying, "What's next? What's next?" And the symbol is anchored in my mind. And that's something that we want everybody to know, just chunks of information. And then at the end of it, they're so open to the opportunity of what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think that's important, Alex? I love the way that you described that. And people said that they want more, they have more flexibility, they do this, they do that. Why do you think that's important for your graduates?
I think it's important because to give a little bit of context, recently I was diagnosed, and I always knew it, and I don't like labels, but I was formally diagnosed with ADHD and OCD. So there's this swinging between, chaos and vision and excitement and passion. And then when you start getting into the details, like this overwhelm that you can't put everything in its fine lines and keep the surfaces clean, And I feel, but I feel like those people are everywhere. It's not just me.
I was going to say, is that a label? I thought that was just.
So, but I always thought I'm going to be going crazy. Like I'm like, up here, I'm like, we can do this, we can do that. And then I'd get into it and I'd get to the end and I'd be like, what now? What do I do now? And so what we wanted was to help people to put it in bite-sized chunks so that when they finished it, they had just enough to get started. And then when they got started, they had just enough vision to want to know what was next. And I think with Chrissy and I, when we met, that was what we came together. I don't know what it was. It's intuitive understanding of each other as trainers. Chrissy is the details. She's the specificity. I'm that sort of vision that, I'm wide-eyed and we can do it all. And then Chrissy's like, okay, I like your vision, but here are the details. Let's think about what this means.
Where's the spreadsheet?
Sorry, Chrissy, go ahead.
Where's the spreadsheet? And it's exactly.
Exactly. So that's why I think for me, that's important, because that's how I operate. And if I think about myself backwards, I wish I had that. I wish it would have been, I remember getting my practitioner and not doing anything with it for a very long time, actually until I met Kallum, and he convinced me to jump in. And I think that if we did more and offered more of that, we'd probably open ourselves up to more students and more practitioners going out there and doing what we're doing, not limiting it only to those people who are highly organized and very intentional. Because I think with the right training, you can be highly organized and intentional. You just need to offer it in such a way that it helps people to get on board.
Well, being highly organized and intentional is purely a behavior. And behavior can absolutely be taught. I'm curious, Alex, and Chrissy, I think you touched on this before we went live. What was it that Kallum said or did that had you go from I'm floundering to I'm now fully charged, I'm ready to go, this is the next level for me?
So when I did my training, my actual trainer was phenomenal. But after I got my training, not long afterwards, she left. She decided she didn't want to do any of this anymore. And I was sort of digging around trying to figure out, what do I do next? How do I expand? Or how do I even,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So Kallum, I rang up to inquire about trainers training, and Kallum called me back. And the trainers training was happening really soon. And he was like, you'll be fine. Just sign up and do the thing. And, I did it. I had two days. He gave me the spiel about how he had, and I should have at that moment gone, two different characters, but he breathed belief into me that I didn't know that I had.
Yes.
And then I was cross because I had all this work to do and I had to be really focused. And being this very wild sort of free character on the one hand, I went into deep overwhelm in the training. And I had to really keep my head above water to just keep going. Meeting Chrissy on the training was really important for me, I think, what I know. And I remember speaking to Kallum at some point and being really cranky with him and saying, you didn't tell me this or you didn't tell me that. And he said to me, I think the words were to the effect of was one of the NLP statements of the behavior, the response you get is the communication you give. And he said, it sounds like you're in a really victim mindset here. And because he said that, I was like, I'm not in a victim mindset. I'll show you. And that, I guess, I don't know whether he knew that's what I needed to hear. And so I put my head down and my bum up and I was like, right, I'm going to get through this because I am not a victim. I'm definitely a victor. Came out the other side, met Chrissy, formed the academy together with her, built it. We built it really quickly. We got to work really quickly. And to this day, I know it was because I allowed him to breathe belief in me that I didn't have in myself at the time. And I guess, Kallum has a way of perhaps reading or an intuitive understanding of people and knowing just how to say the right thing to get the person to light that fire and get going. So, yeah, I didn't like him to begin with, but I like him now.
I love that. And Cal absolutely has that gift. And I think that's what we do. We believe in people even if they don't believe in themselves. And
Connor showed me that line actually. It's something that I naturally did, but Connor said, I heard him on the phone one time saying that, I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. And, that was a line that I adopted, and it's also birthed out of the saying by Andre Weisenhofer that a client will not actualize what the hypnotherapist does not believe to be true or possible. And once I really truly got that, I something clicked in my mind, and I thought, oh, this is just a game. All I need to do is be the person that can see all the possibilities for that person. And if I can be the one to see all the possibilities, then maybe one of them will click and they'll be the key that opens the door to allow them to go in. And this is another line I stole from Connor, but I never had somebody thank me for not letting them get to a training.
Yeah.
Always had someone thank me for getting them there and having them complete it and be successful at it.
100%.
So,
I love that. And when you adopt that, it helps you push the boundaries of what's possible for that person a little bit more. You back yourself saying, I know you've hit a boundary. That's it. You want what's on the other side. It's my job to use my language and articulate what you need to hear to have the certainty within yourself to break through that glass ceiling that you set for yourself. And
100%.
I love the story. Chrissy, tell us about, you're next. What was it about yourself? Because by the way, everything we're talking about now, your students and other NLP trainers and other trainers that have other modalities globally, their prospects are in exactly the same place. So we can say it until we're blue in the face. I've done it for 20 years. Cal's done it his entire life. Hearing it from international trainers who also do this, and this is what they do, I think will be music to a lot of our listeners' ears. So Chrissy, what was it for you?
How did we come to this place?
Well, what was it within yourself with that? There was obviously a light that got turned on.
Yeah.
And you went, yep, I'm all in.
So my story is a little bit different. I purely sought out NLP and timeline therapy for a personal journey. My son was given a life-limiting diagnosis, and my mind, my world, everything turned upside down for a few years. And I was like, how do I get myself out of this place? And I was aware of NLP, but thankfully a nudge from a friend, everything lined up. And I walked into that Sydney, location in 2019, purely for how do I understand myself better? And I went through that process, loved it, decided to do the master practitioner because at the time I was working as a reflexologist, and I noticed the conversations I was having with other people. I was giving them little strategies and have you thought about this? And just that natural, when you're in that service-based industry, sort of, how about this? Or have you thought about it from this way? And then along came COVID and had to close the clinic, and it was the silver lining. And it was during this process, I was like, okay, if I go through and through the diploma level, and trainers training is where I met Alex. And my vision was originally to help mums, parents going through that sort of diagnosis process and holding retreats. And that's sort of where my mind was going, not knowing that the next 3 years were going to look very different for all of us. So I'm very grateful that Alex had the vision of like, think about how important all this information is, and then how do we go out and share it with others? If it's changed everything for me, it could change everything for somebody else. And so that was the driving factor to really switch gears into this space, which was unexpected, but for which, we're super grateful. And I think what sets us apart is that Alex and I are both quite nurturing in the sense that we don't want the overwhelm exhaustion model. We want the understanding and the confidence and the competence and the quality, and rather than the quantity, that come through and we work with. And then providing the basis for our students to also have mentoring or help them set up their branding or their website or create a course. We're doing a course at the moment with our students for them to create their own programs.
Nice.
So it's been amazing, and it's not something I could have done by myself. So the fact that I've found someone and we complement each other really well, I know, and I watch you guys working together and I can see that dynamic. I think for those of us that find the space of being able to work alongside someone else is not something to be taken for granted. So
100%. I mean, I just want to add to what Chrissy said. So there's, for us, or for me anyway, and Chrissy has her set of beliefs, and the combination of the two work really well. But there's 3 things that are really important, I think. The first that we teach is all about baseline. So people forget that from baseline, which is breath, you're doing great, right? And the problem that we have is that people sit at baseline and they're wanting to be up here. And so everything from here to here is a deficit, right? Every day they're waking up, if they're here at baseline and they want to be up there, they're feeling like they're a deficit. And we want to remind them that just beginning here is incredible, and every incremental step up towards your goal, and that goal keeps getting more, is phenomenal, right? Celebrate that step. And when Chrissy and I came together, we reminded ourselves that, yes, we would love to be an international academy and people running to sign up. But actually, every time somebody came in to do our training, we celebrated. We celebrated because we could already see the ripple of that one person and the one person, the one person, the one person. If we could build that same belief in them, that would be fantastic. And then the second thing that we really wanted to teach people was about authenticity. Who are you going out to help? Stop creating a character or an avatar that you don't know about. Figure out what's your avatar and work backwards, right? If you did something amazing and overcame something amazing last week, teach it. If you thought that you overcame the struggle like Chrissy did, and you don't realize how important, and speak to somebody about it so you can work out just what amazing things you did to overcome it, and then teach it. Use the tools that we've given you to go out there and help all the people coming up behind you. Because you don't need to help the world. You just need to help you last week, the week before, the month before, the month before that. That's the second thing, the authenticity behind everything that we do. And then the third thing is about polarity. So Chrissy and I it's like a marriage. My husband, he's the calm in the stormy sea. He's the consistent voice of reason that kind of pulls me back from the edge. And I like to say, one half keeps you on the edge and the other half keeps you from falling off. Like nice little balance. And I think if you can find the magic in another person or a partnership, if you're missing that part, that crucial part, find it, because it's out there and it's looking for you. And then the 2 of you together, or the 3 of you together, with that balance of the vision and the craziness and the calm and the order, the 2 together just create this beautiful yin and yang that allows you to go out and do incredible things together. And I just think when Chrissy and I met, I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know what the universe had lined up for us, or the people that we would meet along the way, all the aha moments that you get. But I couldn't have imagined myself here. I wanted to be here and I had a vision, and here we are today, but I couldn't have imagined the steps that would take place to get us here.
Yeah, I want to walk through that door of that point a little bit further, because I think it's something that everyone, no matter where they are in their stage of business in the coaching or training industry, there's a lot to be said with what you just pointed out, because one of the biggest problems that I hear from people is, how do I separate myself from the pack? How do I, find my niche, or how do I, um, find my audience, or how do I build an audience? And so there's so many people out there. And I think to begin with, I was probably one of those people. When I first started training, I ran 5 pracs after I did trainers training the first year. And I remember the first couple, I was literally almost verbatim mimicking or reading off a script that, Tad had done. And, I was fortunate enough at the time that on the second training that I did, there was actually an old mentor of mine that came to the training. At the time I was collaborating with another organization, and they were sending people to me as well. And there was a gentleman that arrived there that was a mentor of mine back earlier, like 7 or 8 years earlier, who, I used to look up to. He used to teach me a lot about business and different ideas. He was a bit of a motivational speaker. Ross, if you're listening, good to have you here. But he came to the second training, and I remember it really, really clearly because he pulled me aside, and I was kind of nervous that he was there as well, and that I was training him. He pulled me aside. Everybody was having lunch. He pulled me aside and said, "How do you think you're going?" And I said, "To be honest, I feel, compared to my first training, I feel like I'm all over the place. I don't feel like things are coming to me naturally. I feel like, I'm stumbling through my words, and I'm not having clear thoughts." And he said, "Mate, you're trying to be somebody else. You're not being yourself. It's clear that you know your content. It's clear that you know your stuff. Let that shine through. Let that person, let Kallum shine through and show that heart, show that authenticity." And that just clicked something in my head. I no longer was trying to be Tad, or, there's other people that I was looking up to at the time as well. And I actually just started to free flow and started to just teach it in the way that I wanted to teach it, which is what I liked about when you said, at the very beginning, I think we might have even been offline. You guys said that we don't want to work with people that aren't like us or don't like the way that we do things. And I think that's the key for trainers and coaches out there, that it is okay to do it your way. It is okay to have your interests shine through. It is okay to share your stories. It is okay to show quirky sides. And I love that you guys are aligned on so many things. And one of the things that I do really love, because it's something that Conor and I are really big about, and it's about making the times that you do your trainings family friendly.
Yeah.
And how many people I know that I probably pushed past so many boundaries to get them to a training, which meant that they had to sacrifice time with their family, which I think, the net benefit of that outweighed the net negative. But I do think that there's a whole market of people out there that would love to be able to come at family friendly times, and would be okay to do it over a 4-day block and then another 4-day block in between it. And I think that is so cool that you guys are offering that, because I see it being so unique. There's so many people. I say so many people over and over again, because I don't want to, point names, point fingers, but pretty much everyone is still doing it in that same time frame. There's so many people just still doing it in that same time frame. And it's because it's what we thought it was meant to be. And I remember a conversation Conor and I had early on, and it made me motivated by conversations we had with our wives, but it was basically, no more weekends.
Yeah.
And guys, you guys are back down here helping us out at 5:00, so,
We did start there, Kallum. We adjusted.
you adjusted.
And we just recognized the overwhelm that was happening. And we're all online. So we weren't in a space where you could pull someone aside and sort of necessarily in that one-to-one space. So just acknowledging that the massive amounts of information download. And we actually started working with a lot of business people, women and sort of that had their own businesses. And so I'm not sure that they entirely knew what they were getting themselves in for. And it was part of it was just like, how do we sort of make this more manageable for them in the processing of all this new information? And so we did adapt and adjust after our first few trainings to make that work, because it was important for us as well. And we've got people in the States. So the 9 to 3 is like for a lot of them is sort of like their evening to late night. So our students in the States are sort of, accommodating in that space as well.
Okay, cool.
Love that.
Yeah. And I'll tell a funny story actually for anybody who is embarking on this journey. It was like for other trainers. So when we first started, we thought, what about if all those trainers who were coming out who just we had that incredible, massive certification. And then we're like, where do I, what do I, how do I, and that overwhelm that happens. And we thought, what if we could offer them a space to come and train under our umbrella? So instead of going and doing all the work, you come up, bring your clients, train with us. You have to train some of the days. We need to double check to make sure you're training the way we train or the way we're comfortable in terms of it being that ecological standpoint. And so when we thought about that, we thought, well, are there people out there who are looking for that? That was why we began the idea of the collective coaches. Then we thought, what about all the students that come through and they get their practitioner and they don't have a website and they don't have a place? Could we put them up on our website and allow people to come and work with them through us, right? And we would then mentor them through the process of their first few clients and make sure that they felt they knew what they were doing. So we have a lot of practitioners who come through. They've popped up on our website. They've got clients through our graduates community, through people we've referred to them. And then for the first 6 sessions, we're behind the scenes working with them to make sure that they feel comfortable. And we offer them a mentoring package as well as a set of 12 session scripts to help them see session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4. And now I can start moving things around and I can pull this in here and I can pull that in here depending on what my client's needs are. So we wanted it to be almost like I come out the other side and now I have a business in a box that I can adapt and adjust a bit like one of those Rubik's cubes to make it work for each one of my clients. And I know that I'm not without the tools to get started. If they don't get started, that's because they're not ready. It's not because we haven't provided them with all of the bits and pieces to get them on the floor and up and running. And and those people that get started, they come back and do Cert 2. Those are the ones that then recognize, actually, I want more tools. And then those ones come back and do Master Prac. And with all of that, we were always working in between, helping them to run online courses, helping them to build a funnel of clients through offerings that they have that are online mini courses. So we're giving them lots of ideas and lots of tools and strategies to keep them going. And we're building our community. And we love that because, as you said, we really want to see everybody go on and thrive. I hate the idea that you would do a training and put that training on the shelf and walk away and have not enough belief in yourself that you would get started.
In my experience, the hardest part is the taking action for some people.
Yeah.
They've learned the skills and then actually putting one foot in front of the other and applying it. So I'm really pleased that you guys have mapped it out. The pathway has been written after the training that they have with you, and you equip them with that skill set. I do have a question. Where do you have a particular target market or niche or avatar that or area of expertise where you specialize in taking someone from this industry into the coaching industry? Or is it fairly general, fairly open to anyone in the public? How did you deliver or get set up in that way?
Go for it, Chrissy. Well, we worked hard on this.
Back originally in those initial sort of first steps we were taking, Alex was connected to a group of business owners. And that's also another reason why we felt that breaking down the NLP, because they're not necessarily moving into that practitioner timeline therapy space.
Hey guys, Kallum and Conor here from Connect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting, the Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely. What we love doing is lighting people up and helping them realize that their future is bright and, most importantly, making a difference in this world. So we are very excited to be able to share this with you.
If you want to turn every prospect into a Forever Client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.
So we're like, what are the tools around communication, rapport, the sales language? How can they elevate everything going on with them and their staff and their relationships with their clients? So the original space was sort of that, are you a business owner? Are you looking to perhaps move? Some of our initial students were ready to move from their business ownership into sort of more mentoring within their industry. So they were
Okay.
taking these skills to transition there, and they've done so beautifully. We still work with them very closely. Collaboration is so important to us, and watching the people becoming connected through our programs. We've got 3 students creating a course of their own in the States at the moment. We've got 2 others working together to support another entire industry of, salon owners. So it does change. Alex and I are very clear that we attract ourselves, right? We're wanting to help those who either want to stay at home and work from home and help others. If you're someone who's genuinely that person that people come to, how can we help you step into that space? So it does change a little bit. Generally speaking, parents, mid-40s, perhaps a corporate background, so that understanding of how teams work, becoming a great leader, and how do I step into this space to help myself and then help others. So
we also, I do a lot of the sales calls, and I know them when I see them, because it's very clear to me that they have this vision of they're in that space where they know there's more and they're a little bit lost, but they're already doing something in the space of helping other people, and they just need that extra something that's going to propel them. And then more than ever, we initially started with a lot of sort of women in their, mid 30s to 50s. And we were quite clear, we're helping women. And then all of a sudden, all men started coming. And so what we realized was actually it's just people who are they're really intuitive, and they recognize the value of being of service, and they understand the exchange of energy being money versus what I'm teaching or what I'm helping. And they want to be able to create an additional income stream, or they want to be able to do more of what they're wanting as they're retiring out of a field. And so those people really fit our scope. So unlike Chrissy, my story was slightly different. I spent 20 years in corporate. I was in tech and in finance, and I was burned out. I had 3 children, and with what I now know is this sort of label that people say, the ADHD and the OCD, I was like, we can do everything. And then I was like, everything has to be in order and everything has to be in its place. And I burned out. I just couldn't take care of the children and be in this job that required me to be on for sometimes 60, 70 hours a week, just working to stay above, so that the next generation of people coming up behind you or snapping at your heels are ready to take your spot the minute you sort of showed a little bit of weakness or needed more time off, and kept finding myself feeling guilt and anxiety of trying to be this person and this person and that person. And so one day my middle daughter, she had just a standard operation, and after the operation, which was having her tonsils out, she developed a bleed in the night. And something told me, get her up, bring her into the lounge room. And as I did, and I wanted to give her pain relief, she sat her up, and Elise was hemorrhaging. So we rushed Elise to the hospital, and we had no friends. Jeff and I, we worked so much. And actually my community of friends was a whole bunch of gay men, because that was the first person I met when I came to Sydney, and I created this amazing network. None of them had kids except maybe 2. And so we sort of diverged a bit through having children. And so we had no one to call to come babysit. We had to knock on the neighbor's door. And initially I said to Jeff, stay home with the girls. I put her in the car. It was like the apocalypse in the car driving her. And I was thinking, everything's going to be fine, right? Everything's going to be fine. Raced to the children's hospital, ran Elise in there. And I remember the nurse, she was like, oh, no, we'll just take you straight in. We rush you straight in. And as I got to the I don't know, the suite or whatever it is, the inside the emergency, another nurse came running and said, no, this is definitely needs immediate triage. So they rushed me into another suite. And then the nurse, what was on duty, came in and said, yes, we're all in agreement. We're going to code blue this. And I was like, what's going on? What's happening? So the alarms went off, the phone's ringing. And this nurse, the head nurse, got on the phone and said, yes, we're all in agreement. And I remember I was watching her and listening to this nurse and listening to that nurse, but I could hear the nurse on the phone. She says, yes, we're in agreement. It's a code blue, have grief counseling on standby. And in that moment, my whole world stopped. And I was sat there, and my daughter was, blood pouring out everywhere. She's on my lap. I'm holding her. And I said to her, in this moment, they're going to hurt you. And this is the one time Mummy's going to ask you to let them, because they had to get needles in and they couldn't. And she was so little. She was only 4. And she said, Mummy, can you sing? And I'm trying to sing, these songs, and my voice is shaking. And so trying not to let her know that I'm scared. And the nurse says, have you got a husband? Have you got a partner? And I was like, yes. And she said, well, where is he? Can he be here? And I said, does he need to be here? And she said, yes. And I was like, we don't have anyone to call. And I was like, he's going to have to figure it out. So Jeff knocks on the neighbor's door. He comes over. He comes running into the hospital. And it's like a scene at this moment from Apocalypse Now. Like there's just blood and crap everywhere, and little child getting weaker and weaker. And the nurse is like, we need to give her blood now. And they couldn't get her blood type. And so they rushed her in. Luckily, in Sydney, as you may know, this hospital, the Royal Children's, is connected with another hospital. So when they could call from the doctors from everywhere, whoever's available. So they took her into emergency surgery. And I stood in that room and I said, to the universe, to whoever was listening, give it back to me tomorrow. Everything changes. Everything. No more. I'm not doing this where my children's lives, our happiness, our collective growth and development is impeded by this need to stay on this treadmill and make money, make money, make money. And that was, she came out the other side. It was really touch and go. And the next morning I quit my job. We sold up. We moved up to Queensland. We now live on acreage. And every day that I do this, I'm reminded as I walk out at 3:00 in the afternoon, pick my kids up from school, why we did this. That time is short. I want to make money, but I don't want to do it on somebody else's terms. I want to do it because it brings about the greater good of humanity, and that we know that everything that you two, that Chrissy and I are doing, is having a ripple effect and helping to positively affect someone's life. And that 4 rules of ecology. Is this good for me? Is it good for others? Is it good for society? And is it good for planet? And if I can't answer yes to all 4, something's wrong and I'm not doing it. And so that's very emotional, my version of this.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It took me on a journey. And the outcome and where you are now is incredible. And I think that would inspire. Is that a metaphor? Is that a story you tell at your training, by the way?
No, actually, no, it's not one. No, the stories I tell are a little bit more like Conor. And I think for some people, they need to hear that. And for other people, they're not ready for that. But yeah, I think today it's really valid, because I think when people feel like they're in this space, there was so much chaos and we're trying to hold it together. And we're looking around us and thinking, could I do more? Could I be more? Is this it? Is this it? And I just want to build that belief in people that, you can be and do whatever you want, so long as it's authentic, so long as it's ecological, and so long as you know that the legacy you leave behind, you'll be proud of the day that that this is all over.
I resonate with that story, not because I had the exact same thing happen, but I did have a little scary ER moment with my eldest daughter, and it does absolutely put everything in perspective. I had bad croup growing up. My mom told me my daughter got really bad croup just after our wedding, and it was so bad that we went to the hospital, and it just went downhill pretty quick. And they were trying to get the steroids into her, and she didn't want to take them. And I had a similar moment with the promises that you make in those moments. And I think that they become the biggest blessings, because they put everything in perspective in a very short amount of time. It's like this focal point of reality that you get exposed to. And there's nothing more raw than your own child being unwell. And there's nothing more real than that, especially wanting to be able to help them and not feeling like you can, and feeling a little bit helpless. And I think that the Connect coaching, like with the Collective Coaching Academy, our values are very much birthed out of our kids and our time with our kids, and how important and valuable that time is. Because there is nothing more precious than those guys. They're not just our kids, but they're also the next generation. We talk so much about helping people in the training room and you know, transforming their lives and helping them resolve childhood traumas and things that have happened. But it's also what I got out of that story, Alex, is that it's just as important, if not more important, to make sure that we're tending to our first circle of influence,
Yes.
part of our partners as well, because I know that when I know that they're good and they're taken care of, I do a much better job when I'm on stage or when I'm coaching and mentoring someone. And when they're good, I feel much more of a drive to do that. My office right now is at the back of my block of our house. We moved out of Sydney because of similar craziness to what you're talking about. My wife, worked quite high up in Macquarie Bank, and I was working, as you know, at the Tag James company. And if you combine those 2 hours and kids, it's just, when do you have time to see them? So my office is in the back, and it's also converts into a studio where we coordinate the trainings from. And I love that I can just go down there in the middle of the day and have lunch and sit with the kids, be able to spend that time with them and really, be brought back down to earth and be brought back down to what I'm doing this all for. And yeah, I'm glad you felt comfortable sharing that story, because it's hit me. It was a really big reminder for me of what we're all doing this for, but also why Conor and I started Connect coaching, because our kids and our family are the most important thing. And when that starts to suffer, it's a slippery slope from there. And yeah, it's important that it's great when people can get the message before one of those moments happens. So I think it's great that you do share that story and that you shared it today, because there's probably people that are listening now or are about to listen that need to hear it. Yeah. And thank you for, yeah. Cool. Chrissy.
Yeah. Where do we go from here?
Well, I was just thinking yesterday, even, so I'm in the spare room because my son has just transitioned to full-time in a wheelchair. And so we're swapping all the rooms around. And I got it from my desk yesterday during our break when we were training to check on him. And I'm just like, how incredible is this, that I have been able to find a way that I can do something I'm so passionate about, that just fills me with so much joy and light to be able to be here just in this space on a desk with a computer, and we can connect with people that, in America, or it could be anywhere. And this is all you need to connect and help other people. And then at the same time, we can find that balance, that we can be there to support the kids. And that's really important. And Alex and I bounce off each other sometimes, and again, I keep coming back to it. Everyone who's out there doing this for themselves and on their own, like, mad respect, because there's been times where it's like, I have to do this. And I'm like, I've got you, right? We pick each other up, or we jump in for each other, and we're the yin to the yang, as Alex said. But not everyone is as lucky to have this ability, but find your tribe. Find the people that if you are running a training and you need that sort of backup, reach out and find the people that will be there to support you.
And my goal as well, and you guys might feel this too, is at some point in time, Chrissy will need more time. She'll need more time. Her days will get fuller, and her family will lean on her more. And so our dream, and the same vice versa, potentially for me. I don't know what the future holds for us, but when that happens, I will carry Chrissy as much as I can, and vice versa. And that the academy is designed that way, that, that you trust the space and the people that you're with, that we do the dual training, because sometimes I just can't be there and Chrissy can, and the training will go ahead regardless, or we're both there at the same time. And then there are times when, when we're like, we can add more now, and now we need to take some things away. And I think that is the key, is that when you find the people you truly trust, who really mirror and then also balance you out, everything's possible.
I second that. What I've learned over the years is that when you do wear a mask or you pretend to be someone else and someone other than yourself, because you think that's what people need to see or hear or feel, it's fine when you're in comfortable positions. The trouble starts when you're in unnavigated waters and you don't know what's right or wrong. And because you're not being yourself, you can't navigate yourself through those gray areas because you're disassociated, trying to think, what would this person do? And you're in uncharted waters. So you're out of your comfort zone. You have no bearing, you have no foundation to carve through that uncharted territory. When you are yourself and you're, true to your values, or you stick by them and you know what they are and you're authentic, when you are out of your comfort zone, you continue being yourself. You're uncomfortable, but you navigate through those waters. And that's where the growth takes place, because you grow when you are out of your comfort zone. So if you're always not yourself, when you're out of your comfort zone, you'll actually retract and not go forward because you have no neurology to carry on forward. When you are yourself, then you do have that neurology. Even though you are uncomfortable, you still feel comfortable moving forward outside of your comfort zone. And that's where real growth takes place. So that, I think it's a good discussion to have. And I think the times when people's businesses and lives where it really counts is when they are actually starting to grow. And that is the catalyst for the growth that you can have, which makes you better trainers, which makes you better business insiders. And therefore you're able to pass that down to your graduates as well and help them through the same journey.
Definitely.
So I think that's a good point to lock in. Actually, I like these chats, Cal, because we both get learnings and we'll get little bits of golden nuggets and we'll apply them to our next trainings as well.
You know what's cool though? One just quick little thing I've thought of is that Alex and I have been working together online for 3 years, literally exactly almost 3 years to the day. And we've met twice.
Oh, wow.
And the first time was a good 9 months after we started. So yeah, we've actually,
It's actually really funny because we met and we talked to each other as if we'd been, hanging out every day. So she got out to the hotel we were staying at and she jumped out the cab. I was like, and then after a while we were standing in the lobby and I looked at her and she looked at me and we're like, do you realize we've never actually physically been in the same room together? And it was the weirdest thing that you've built this incredible bond with a person that you've met online. Nuts.
I feel like that through that 2020, 2021 period, in 2022, there's people still now that I haven't met in person that I feel incredibly close with on social media.
Yeah.
Talk to them like I've spent, so much time together. In some ways, Conor and I probably haven't the amount of time. Most of the time we spent together has probably been on the phone or on Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
We're in the office, I think, for maybe 6 months when I first got there.
Yeah, 5-6 months max.
Different world now. Kind of from my dad's time or, but back in the days before all of this and you forged friendships with people in physical spaces in the office and whatever, but it's such a different world now. And I think it's a good thing. And then at the same time, it's a good reminder to connect in person as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we had Conor come up for our last Connect and Convert training. And we could have done it separately, but we were doing it in the same room, and it actually created a nice little buzz. Like, us together in person. I got to see when Conor was nervous behind the scenes.
I know that. Like Chris, what was it that you said earlier, Chrissy, that since you guys have started the business, she thought that Conor had a boy band filter on because he's gone back in years and looks as if he's fresh and become much fresher, having spent time building the thing you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
So same with Kallum, like the years strip away when you start doing what you're passionate about. The sensory acuity. I'm throwing all this NLP jargon in there. Sensory acuity and the physiology is different.
I think it's when you can grow as well.
100%.
one of the things that we're able to do and implement now is a lot of the ideas that we've wanted to for a long time. And now we have the freedom to do that because it is our own business and we can, it's a good and a bad thing as well, because if the ideas don't fly, then, that's on us as well. But what we are finding is that a lot of the ideas that we have had and we have implemented are doing extremely well. And this is one of them. And this whole podcast, the Unplugged podcast is really to, we had the benefit in the office talking to all the trainers from all around the world and hearing what they're up to and hearing the incredible stories, the triumphs, the challenges and everything in between. And that was one of the things that I loved the most about my job, was that I got that insight. I got to hear those amazing stories and I Conor and I spoke to each other and we said, we want to share that with our community. We want to take our network on a journey as well and show them the stories behind the scenes, because often what happens is, and you probably find this with your students as well, is that either because they put you on a pedestal or they elevate you in some way, even archetypally, it happens naturally. There seems to be quite a step between where they are and where you are. So these stories, I feel, help to bridge that gap. They help to show that, we're all experiencing our own, growth. We're all stepping outside of our comfort zone in some way, shape, or form. And this, I hope it inspires people that watch it to go, it's, although the problems are different, analogically the same, and everyone's going through it. So that's what the hope is for this. And at the same time, be able to promote some of the amazing trainers that we did talk to as well, and share with our network what they're up to. And I think that some of the ideas that you brought to the party today, especially about alignment, values, and being true to those values and authentic in the way that you structure your business and the way that you do the trainings, I think is really important, because those ideas, I think now is a really good time in the NLP, holistic, coaching world and mentoring world for people to start to spread their wings a little bit, be creative with how they do it, and start to bring those new ideas into it. Because, when Tad first started, he made a huge change in how things were delivered in terms of the structure and the timing.
Yeah.
I think, you guys are doing the same thing again. You're structuring it in a different way that appeals to a very specific target audience. And what that means to me is that now those people that weren't previously able to do the trainings now can. And I think that that's all birthed out of both of you being true to yourselves.
Thank you, Kallum. And I just want to say that I love that as industry leaders, because you do have a network of people who hold you, as you say, on that pedestal from that interactions from you both in the past. But this ability to bring together, right? And the connection and the collaboration as a collective. Like the industry, I feel we are much better when we are collaborating than in competition. There is enough sunshine for everybody. We can make a bigger ripple effect if we lean on each other. And just so thank you for stepping into that space with, sort of everyone cheering you on, especially us. We're so excited and we're so grateful. So thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you both today, and can't wait to see you again soon.
Yeah, I think Trish in New Zealand said it. She said the people at the top are collaborating and the people at the bottom are competing. So that's
sad.
Yeah. It's actually really controversial thing
Either way.
to say, to close out on. But when we did the trainers training, I remember all these faces were on the screen, and there were some people in those groups who were just on it. Like they knew their stuff and they were delivering. And then there were people who were like, you could just see, they were like, where's my papers? What am I doing? And then there was one actually who was asleep. Like, clearly it was quite late at night. And I was like, I really hope that person's absorbing. And the people that went on and did explosive things are not the ones who were they were the ones whose papers were flying everywhere and who were like delivering, and they'd constantly say, I'm a mess. I don't know. What are you doing? They were like all over, the place. And now the people that, I've seen you interview some people, incredible people who are doing some amazing things who I recognize from our trainers and who, like Chrissy and I were a mess in it. We were like, they're going to fail us. They're going to fail us. I'm going to fail. Oh my God, what are you doing? And so I think that's so key is when you say about bridging the gap. I never saw myself sitting here with you guys chatting. I was like, I'm never going to be like them, and then one day you find yourself here and you feel like I actually did learn something and I am in growth and the courage and the conviction that I have is enough. If I have those two things and then I find somebody with intention and organization, the world's your oyster, as they say.
Absolutely.
Well, cheers to that. Connor, do the final.
Yeah, look, it's just an appreciation, really. I get lit up by, I think we touched on it before, helping people believe in themselves. And when you do that, you just see the sparks in their eyes go off. You see them make those changes in their lives. And then when you sit back and watch and you're part of the growth journey you can see and thankfully social media made this industry go boom. Like in the space of 2 years, it went boom. And now being part of watching people's growth, it lights me up. So I may be a little bit on the weird side, but that's what gets me up in the morning is seeing people grow and prosper and thrive and have more certainty. And you watch their families grow up or you watch them improve in their career. That is what lights us up. And when we can do that with our family, and although I like your 4 ecology points that you brought up, Alex, when we can do that, then you're really living a fulfilled life, balanced, and one that you can do for the next 50 years. So that's, I think, why we're doing what we do.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for being on the 3rd episode of Connect Unplugged.
Connect Unplugged. Yes, thank you.
Everyone who was watching today, I hope you enjoyed it. We would love feedback. So if you have any feedback for us, things that you'd like us to dive into with these amazing trainers that we bring on, or if you'd like to be a part of it yourself, please send me a direct message on Facebook or wherever else we are. We'll get back to you straight away. Ladies, thank you. We will be on the sideline and supporting you as much as we possibly can.
Thank you so much. And we'll definitely be on, one of us will be on the next training. It's probably going to be Chrissy because she's the one who takes the best notes. But we will be on your next training.
Talking about next trainings, can you guys plug your next one? When's
your next one? Yeah.
4th of December, we're doing timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, and coaching. And then we're about to release our February dates.
Fantastic.
The next one will be in February. We haven't released them yet. We wanted a moment to breathe and to be present with the family. But we will release them. And our website is www.ccanlp.com.
Awesome.
Nice. So if someone is already NLP trained at the practitioner level, they can come in and do those 4 days with you in December. If they've already done an NLP and they've already done timeline therapy years ago and they'd like to come back and review just the timeline therapy, coaching, and hypnosis, they can contact you and jump in.
Yeah. So there's somebody out there who's already trained. We organize like a special rate. So if they're already trained, we let them come back in and sit with us. In fact, all of our coaches and our practitioners, once they've done the training, they can come back as many times as they want.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's extra layers once it's settled and then you're in a different place a year later or you're in a different space. We're having our students come back and they absorb at just a whole new level. So we are always encouraging that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Jump on, talk to the ladies.
We could be here all day.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for being here. Hey guys, Kallum and Connor here from Connect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting. If you are a practitioner, a coach, or a trainer in the alternative therapy modality space, the Forever Client Matrix is something that we've modeled in the last 30 combined years, both Connor and my experience. And we've turned it into a 2-day intensive, and we want to give you a preview of that Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely.
We want to make the bar for them to enter into that program very, very low, and have them get incredible results.
I've sold about $40 million worth, and together we've sold about $100 million worth with our teams.
That's right. We believe that trust and reliability is the currency of the future. So if you want to turn every transaction into a transformational experience, if you want to turn every prospect into a forever client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.